Welcome to today's edition of the CIO Watercooler TV. My name is David Savage. I'm your host, and today I'm joined by Matthew Parkins, the Technical Director at Advanced. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Getting towards the middle, well, actually not even the middle, kind of getting on towards the back end of March. So fingers crossed, good weather around the corner. All going well within work as well?
All going well. It's a really busy time, plenty to do. We've just crossed our financial year. But the weather's changing and with it getting nice and warmer, I think there's a lot of optimism.
It does tend to be that time of year, doesn't it, where kind of organisations have their end of financial year. Everyone's kind of looking forward, better weather and so on. Although I suppose after the last year, maybe we're not in quite the usual rhythms that we are. Anyway, look, tell us a little bit about what Advanced do.
Well, so look, at Advanced, we pride ourselves on supporting millions of people across the UK by delivering a suite of really focused software and services. I work for the managed services arm of Advanced, and we look after a number of mission critical platforms for our customers across health and care, central government, local government, all aimed at keeping their mission critical workloads safe, well managed and secure. And
you do that. You mentioned there a number of services. You do that through cloud offerings, right? SaaS offerings. I just wanted to kind of quiz you a little bit on this because I know from talking to you yesterday when we were having a quick chat ahead of this session, you talked about the fact that a lot of cloud migrations can get bogged down. I just wondered why that is.
Yeah, it's a great question. Look, in recent years, there's been a significant drive towards cloud adoption. I could really think all verticals and all sectors. And COVID has only put a multiplier on this effect. And I think many organizations find that despite their best efforts and intentions, that strategy that they're executing upon doesn't end up realizing its intended benefits, either because it takes too long, it's not hitting the expected cost, or it's not delivering the internal efficiencies or innovation that they're expecting. And for me, successful cloud migrations aren't this really neat linear path. Instead, it feels more like a hockey stick effect, where you start slow with your initial innovation projects and you're building your business case. And what you should see is that once you've then delivered maybe that initial lighthouse proof of value, proof of concept, you pick up speed, pick up velocity as you head into what we call a mass adoption phase, where you're starting to form a factory-like migration function, and you're bedding in your processes, you're learning lessons, and you're working through inefficiencies. But often we see signs that this isn't happening. And what is referred to as the great stall can start to occur. And there are many reasons why, and I think in the webinar we'll go through and talk through some of those options, why they might happen and how you can head them off. So what are some of the signs that mass adoption is going wrong and that velocity isn't increasing? Well, really for me, there's 4 points. Firstly, the teams are spending more time working across multiple systems, not finding the efficiencies and consolidating their technologies. Secondly, the costs are ahead of projected levels and really are starting to grow unchecked, and that applications and infrastructure are performing poorly. Either you're not delivering the benefits that you expected, or actually it needed a lot more than you think it did just to maintain the performance you have on your existing platform. And thirdly, you're starting to look at your tool sets and your ways of working, and you're seeing gaps and areas that you hadn't accounted for.
So look, you mentioned strategy earlier, and I'm always intrigued, especially at the minute where a lot of organizations are struggling to see, much further ahead than a couple of months, what a good strategy looks like. First of all, what kind of model do you tend to think is the basis of a good strategy? Because, it could be technology based, it could be very much driven by the business, but increasingly technology is the business.
Mm-hmm. Look, I think a great strategy starts with great planning and starts with a really clear goal about what you want to achieve. There are many different cloud migration strategies in terms of how you execute. And the Gartner 5 Rs, 7 Rs, they seem to grow all the time. But there are many different approaches. What, in my experience, we see quite a lot, though, is even with good planning, A lot of organizations end up turning to what we might call a lift and shift approach, where really you pick up a legacy system and you move it onto public cloud. Organizations then are expecting to see the benefits of that migration without actually changing much about their systems, about how they work, and about the software that's layered on top.
So if you're sitting in front of a client and they're at the beginning of this journey, what are the top 2 or 3 things that they should be asking themselves to make sure that they are primed, that they are ready to go through this period of transformation?
I think if you're at the early stage of your cloud adoption, I think 2 or 3 things that are really key to do: check your plan, check your original business case, and make sure that your goals and the why of moving to cloud is really clear. There are multiple ways of migrating and moving, multiple strategies, multiple approaches. Each differ with the amount of effort and kind of tinkering that goes on with your workflows and your applications. And I think what's really, really clear, regardless of which migration strategy you actually execute, is you understand why you're going in the first place, what benefits you intended to achieve and realize at the end of it, and that you have a clear model for how you're going to get there, and programmatically making sure that it is a very rinse and repeat kind of factory-like approach, rather than dealing with every migration event as a kind of unique snowflake.
Look, Matthew, I want to thank you for giving up some time to talk to me today. I know that we've got a webinar coming up, haven't we? So there will be some themes that are explored here that will be explored in far greater detail. When is that webinar taking place?
It's April 14th at 12:30. I'm really looking forward to meeting and speaking to your audience, and looking forward to a great event.
Look, I'm sure that the links to that event will be with this post, but thank you again for joining us on CIO Water Cooler. Do stay on the website, have a look around. There's plenty more content to engage with.